Hi, my name is Zach King, and you're watching the If Ever You're Listening podcast.
Zack King is an inspiring example of an artist who uses his platform to improve the lives of others. In his career, he's known for talking, creating music, and lecturing about the challenges surrounding musicians' mental health. He doesn't just talk the talk as well. Through his albums, Mess and Songs I Wrote Instead of Texting You, he shares his own struggles with self-worth and romantic relationships. These are thoroughly enjoyable projects too, and showcase the exceptional levels of musicianship he puts into his songs, from the album concept to his songwriting. Zach's projects in the early years had a more indie rock singer-songwriter edge to them. They were revealing without being saddening, vulnerable in the most relatable ways. As he gained better control of his sound, he transitioned to a grander pop punk sonic direction on his sophomore album, and the results were marvelous. His visuals are on point, and the messaging couldn't be clearer. This is an artist who isn't afraid to share his story in order to help others find their way quicker. Mental health affects all of us in the music industry, so it's encouraging for artists like him to speak about ways he's overcoming some of the downfalls in his public lectures and performances. In our conversation today, we go back to the therapy sessions that changed Zach's life and put him on a creative professional path. We also discuss concrete steps artists can take to get out of the psychological lows that come from pursuing a career as a musician. All of Zach's great albums and EPs are covered in detail in our podcast episode today, too. You will also learn a little bit about the great music Zach has coming for you in 2027. Zach was awesome, and I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the If Ever You're Listening podcast. I'm your host, Stanley C., and today we have an awesome new guest, music extraordinaire, mental health advocate, lecturer, Zach King. Thank you so much, Zach, for coming to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Stanley. I'm really excited to dive in.
No problem. Well, I want to dive right into it. You have a lot of great music and a really important message that a lot of my audience, I think, will really benefit from, especially because primarily these listeners of mine are musicians, especially early stage musicians, looking for tips about growth, tips about how do you get access, and how do you deal with some of the common challenges that you face as a musician. For you, and I feel like you could address a lot of those challenges from the videos I've seen, but I want to kind of start from early years for you, especially there seemed to be a very important pivoting point in your career. Maybe it shouldn't even be referenced as a career, but just in your life. It sounded like a therapy session or a series of therapy sessions at 10 were very important. So kind of walk us through what was happening at that time as much as you're open to sharing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm an open book. I think that's a good thing to just show people they're not alone. They're not the only ones experiencing these things. And yeah, like you mentioned, I was struggling with mental health as early as age 10. My parents didn't really know what to do. I didn't really know what was going on. It was a really difficult journey to get where I am today. But yeah, when I was meeting with my therapist, he kind of got to the point where he had to ask me if I didn't want to live anymore. At just 10 years old, he's asking me this, and I said yes. I didn't find joy in anything. I disassociated from my life. It was a really dark stage for my timeline. But fast forward here today, I honestly think music saved my life. Being able to express my feelings, not only verbally, but I've learned to cope with these things by writing down my feelings, by going to therapy, treating my body right, a lot of different things. So yeah, my goal is just to tell people like it's okay if you're struggling, like everybody says, and there's always hope, and that's what a lot of my mental health music is about.
No, that's so important, and I'm so glad you found that opportunity with the therapist. Shout out your parents for making that connection. Talk to me about what were those early creative moments like for you? Was it kind of easy then at that point once you had that encouragement to create and write songs, or did it take other forms first, like poetry or just written journaling?
Yeah, I didn't become a creative until later down the road. I always played guitar growing up, but with school and girls and stuff. Those things kind of can go by the wayside. So yeah, I went to college, still not really being creative at all. Graduated and came home, and I started feeling this sense of hopelessness. It was a big change in my life. I moved back in with my parents at that time. A lot of my friends weren't around, so I felt very isolated. Um, and what I decided to do is actually just write down my feelings. That's what my therapist told me at the time. He's like, we need to try this. And I was like, yeah, like that's gonna change anything, just writing down what I'm thinking. But it actually did, and it's one of the most important routines in my life to this day. So basically, what happened is he suggested that, and day in and day out, I would come home from work and I would just write down good or bad feelings on a piece of paper. And just one day I wrote something. I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like this could be like a lyric in a song. So I looked to the corner of my room, saw my guitar, tried to pick it up. I was a terrible singer at that point, just keep in mind. So this was very, very rough. But um, yeah, I started putting those words into songs, and next thing you know, I was promoting my own mental health music at that point.
That's awesome. Okay, very, very cool. And you have two albums. I don't want to get into the albums yet, even though I want to talk about the albums, but maybe if there's something in between, and correct me if this is not the right timeline, but were you performing these songs for anybody? How were you sharing your music after figuring out, hey, I could make music that's not bad?
Yeah. Well, first thing I wanted to do was take vocal lessons, so I started doing that. I spent about like 6 months just honing my craft, writing as much music as possible, and then slowly but surely, I started small. I started doing open mics in my hometown. Um, I used to live in Minnesota, so that's where I was doing it there, and that kind of caught on fire. I was performing all over Minnesota. Um, and I feel like I made my mark there, and I decided after that I wanted to come to Los Angeles to keep on pursuing my music career. So yeah, since then released another album. There's another EP in the works right now. So yeah.
Heck yeah. Okay. Now we can talk about the album. So, folks, we're going to be sharing all of Zach's content in the description. So you don't have to search after what we're about to describe, but just scroll down. For the first album, Mess, your debut, correct me if I'm wrong. Talk to me about how was it making a project for the first time? I mean, these are very vulnerable songs. The songwriting is beautiful. I found it more like acoustic alternative rock. I really like I love alternative and like acoustic songs. So like Midnight Rain, it was my easy, quick favorite for me, but there's a lot of great songs on there. So check out
Yeah.
the full project. Um, was it easy to make that first project? And what was your kind of vision when you were creating these songs?
Yeah, it was when you discover something brand new, it's like super exciting and you really just want to dive in. So for that project, I wrote a lot of those songs within a couple months. It was my very first go at releasing an album, so I think my music in that album and my music now is very different in a lot of ways. But it was a fun journey. It really helped me like cathartically release some feelings that I've been building up on the inside for a long time about mental health, relationships, being the person that you're meant to be, accepting you for who you are. There's definitely a lot of great messages in that album, and then after that, I released another EP. The music kind of evolved a little bit in Bend But Don't Break, getting a little more pop punk, and that's what the last album I released was, songs I wrote instead of texting you. A lot about relationships and mental health, and yeah, a lot of the same themes are just about becoming the person who you are.
What kind of motivated you over time? And this is like a matter of years, to transition to a more pop punk, more expressive vocal delivery, bigger hooks, kind of grander sound. I'm loving the
Yeah,
new album. I really like title of the new album. It's just like a great title.
thank you.
Thinking about because it automatically I have a picture in my brain. I'm already thinking about, okay, I know what this album may feel like.
Mhm.
And then it delivers that. There's great music videos for these songs, for many of these songs. What was the inspiration to the change of the production and your expression?
Yeah, I grew up in the '90s, so there was a lot of pop punk music then, and that's kind of what I listened to a lot, and I thought it was like really cool at the time, and really expressive, and a little rebellious too. And you know, as a teenager, we're all kind of a little rebellious here and there. So yeah, I kind of wanted to bring back that music that I loved so much, and I know I always wanted to create that music when I started my career, but it took a while to kind of just get into that mindset and to understand how to really elevate my music to that sound. So it took me about 4 years to create that full album, really understanding the process of writing pop punk music. And I really wanted to hone in on my lyric writing too, to really help people feel like we're kind of all going through the same thing. And that's like my whole thing is trying to create community through music. And specifically, I have a community called the Rebellion, a little bit about rebelling against mental health. So I feel like that community and the new album kind of go hand in hand in that way.
No, that's fantastic. And that's you queued me up perfectly for my next question, which was about mental health and your advocacy work for that, the rebellion, your lectures, the presentations I've seen you give. Talk to me about that. Where did that start? And how has the reception been? Who are some of the people you are connecting with, and how have you impacted them?
Yeah, so about a year ago, one of my good friends, her name's Janice, she reached out to me because she is a big mental health advocate in my local community here in LA. And every year they hold this mental health conference where they have different speakers that come up and kind of share their story. And that kind of was the first chance for me to be able to express myself not only with music but verbally and on a bigger stage. So what I started doing was I really wanted to combine my music with my storytelling.
Mhm.
So I've been going all around LA to different communities, companies, retreats, schools, really blending this whole story about how it seemed like there was no hope for tomorrow in my life and how I got over that hump with music, with therapy, with expressing myself. No matter who you are, we all go through something where we're struggling. So I want to be able to reach as many people as possible to show them that there are ways to get out of that. There are different tactics you can use and strategies to really become the best version of yourself. So it's been a really fun ride.
Very, very nice. Kind of to razor in on this point some more, because I feel like you could really speak to this. What are some, we don't have to go into multiple challenges, but maybe like one or two challenges that you've seen musicians face, and what are some small steps they could begin to take, whether that's mental health blocking them from making music or anxiety stopping them from performing? What are
Mhm.
some issues that you're seeing for musicians?
Yeah, you know, there's a common theme with musicians. A lot of us are empaths, and a lot of us have so many feelings compared to the next person. So, a lot of us struggle with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, unfortunately. And I've seen a lot of those similar traits with people that I've known, musicians in LA that I've seen. So it can be difficult because being a musician, you know, it's a career you want to choose. It's not an easy career. You know, there's such thing as making income, which is not easy to do as musicians nowadays. So just kind of being in that community and seeing other people struggle with these things also just kind of proved to me like more people need to hear positive messages about mental health. But for those artists that are out there, I always suggest seeing a therapist. It can be a little daunting at times, but I promise you, it's one of the best decisions I've made. And then learning what works for you. You know, some things that work for me might not work for the next artist out there. So trying different things. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's treating your body better with what you eat and your workout schedule. there's so many different things that I tried to really figure out exactly what works right for me. So just pushing yourself to do that is one of the best things that I ever did, and I hope people take that into their own hands as well.
Fantastic. One thing that I read about you and what helped you early on, in addition to therapy and making music, was support groups. Have has that stayed a constant kind of help for you in terms of developing your confidence as a musician and helping you with mental health challenges? Um, and if so, are you still a part of support groups? And is that something other people should kind of find to help them with certain challenges they face?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that really helps me is having community,
Hmm.
and not isolating yourself. I used to do that a lot, and I realized that was one of the core issues in my mental health, that I was always alone, isolating myself, didn't want to be around other people. But just being in the presence of friends, family, other people that are going through what you're going through is so cathartic, and can really help you kind of create those strong bonds. And like I keep on saying, is just understanding that you're not the only person going through this. Sometimes we feel like the things that happen in our life, it's like, why me, why me, why me? Why isn't anybody else feeling this way? And realistically, so many other people are. So finding those people, and then having that great support group of your family friends is fantastic. I don't go to like any support groups now, but that's one of the reasons why I created my community, is for that exact reason, for other like-minded people, other people going through the same things, to have that community if they're not able to find one, where they're at in their stage of life. So um, yeah.
Very nice. I wanna, because this is a music podcast, I love getting into your brain as a musician, and your songwriting. I've read before you've said that therapy has helped you with your songwriting, and we've kind of discussed this already here, but how did becoming more comfortable confronting kind of your thought processes, your emotions, change the actual writing process? How is it like opened up what you're able to write about or what you choose to write about?
Yeah, I think when writing music, it's hard, but it's good to be as vulnerable as possible,
Mm.
because a lot of people have heard the same message over and over, but they haven't heard your exact story. So for me specifically, I wanted to be extremely vulnerable on my most recent album. There's a lot of self-deprecating language, kind of just showing exactly what I think through my head automatically. And by meditation and therapy, I've kind of helped change those voices in my head. But I also wanted to show people that even though sometimes it might seem like I'm this super um, happy going person every day, there are some dark thoughts. That's why I wrote my song Over and Over, which is about suicide, and suicidal ideation. Just to show people, like, we all have bad days, we all have bad thoughts, but um, people are going to miss you. There's so much to stick around for, and there's so much hope for tomorrow. So I think therapy and my mental health journey is really like the one thing driving my music career. If I didn't have that, I don't even know what I would write about at this point. So
That's so important. And over, guys, for those. That I wrote that down as a definitely one of my favorite Zack songs. I wish I could show you. I'm like not even exaggerating. It's I pre-wrote these favorite Zack songs. Over and Over and Midnight Rain were my two.
thank you.
And how important those songs are to what your message is. It's super cool and important to see. Um, what have you learned about yourself from playing these songs, making these songs that maybe you didn't know prior, maybe was in your subconscious before?
Yeah. I always try to hide what I was going through and pretend like it wasn't happening, and try to put this mask on of being someone that I wasn't for pretty much my whole life. And only since I started my music career is when I really felt like I was able to take that mask off, and to really just accept who I am, and really just be the person that I was meant to be. And I know a lot of us, it's really easy just to pretend like nothing bad is happening, or to pretend that everything is good. But it's cliche, everybody says it, but it is okay to not be okay. We all go through different things. So yeah, having that process and that understanding of who I was really kind of helped me love myself a lot more.
Mm, for anyone who is hearing this, and because you said you're going through LA, different schools, different venues throughout the area. Let's say I'm in Texas or I'm in Michigan, and I'm like, well, it would be actually great if he can come to our school or he could speak at our. Is that how would they reach out to you? How would they contact you? Is this something that you're open to?
Yeah, we've kind of built a team that has helped me kind of travel around not only Los Angeles but around the country
Hmm.
to be able to do what I call keynote artist performances. And if people are interested or want to check my availability, I have a website. It's called keynote.zackkingmusic.com, and it has a whole page just about who I am with a video of me presenting my story and kind of goes through all the details with what I offer. But they can always reach out via email to Zack@zackkingmusic.com.
And that will be in the description as well. Again, you don't have to pause the video and write that down. Thank you so much, Zach. For your, huh, I have a question about heartbreak because that does come up a lot in the music I was noticing. Um, and as somebody who experiences heartbreak many a times in my life, but I feel like a lot of people have.
Mhm.
It felt you're kind of self-effacing, you're open, but you're also, you're reflecting on yourself as well as the relationship. And I like how those two things, a lot of artists kind of split them, but you keep them kind of hand in hand. So the songs feel very honest, very authentic. What has the music helped you learn about heartbreak or maybe learn about romance? And has the experience making music kind of changed the way you process these things?
Yeah, there's been a lot of heartbreak in a lot of my songs that are all real stories, kind of about what I went through especially with my young 20s,
Mhm.
dating a couple of different people in my life, and a lot of those really affected me negatively, which kind of helped spiral my mental health in a negative way. And that's part of my cathartic outlet was just writing down um, those stories, turning them into songs. And that's kind of my way of letting go, releasing all that pent up anger or sadness, heartbreak, all those things with those songs is kind of my final goodbye, my closure to those relationships. So that's why I think relationships and my mental health, becoming the person you're meant to be, it all kind of tells a story of kind of the average human experience. We all go through these things, we all go through these ups and downs, but um, your story's never over. You always have hope for the next day, and there's always hope to become the person you're meant to be, and it will happen for those people that are still going through that journey.
Amen to that. Amen to that. For you mentioned earlier you're working on new music. There's an EP on the way. Talk to me about where are we in the process? How much, as much as you can share,
Sure.
with the music.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this next project. I truly believe this is the best music that I've ever created. Right now, we're still writing the music, producing the music. Two songs are already done off the EP. So just creating a release strategy and a content strategy for those two. And then I actually just started the third song with my producer over the last couple of days. So my goal really is to at least have 5 songs on this EP, so we're about halfway there.
Nice.
And then this next year, I hope I can stick to it, but I really want to release a song every single month for 2027. So I'm trying to kind of stack the songs before the new year so we can have like an awesome release throughout 2027. So
Oh, that's gonna be sick. That's gonna be fun. Okay. Well, you're always welcome back if you want to talk about those songs. Just like a friendly plug for, okay, those conclude my Zach specific questions, but we're not done yet. As the audience knows, this is the If Ever You're Listening podcast. So I ask if ever you're listening music questions towards the end of the interviews. But thank you so much, Zach, for
thank you.
your answering those questions. Again, you guys, if you want to see Zach in your town, you know how to reach him. Please do. What he's doing is exceptionally important, and I hope it grows exponentially, especially
Thank
over
you.
2027. Seriously. For your perspective as a musician, first question is about kind of the value of music and how people view it. What is one piece of being a musician that you see maybe non-musicians that they don't understand or they maybe undervalue about being a musician and the process of making music?
Yeah, I always come back to the being vulnerable thing. I know a lot of artists, or people that aren't artists, it's really hard for them to be vulnerable. So just being okay with telling your thoughts and feelings, telling that person how you feel about them or about what's going in your life. I think just vulnerability is everybody kind of shies it off because they don't think it's either cool or it's uncomfortable or whatever it might be. But what I've learned is being vulnerable is being brave, and accepting those different parts of you and being open and honest with people is the whole human experience. We're supposed to uplift each other and be there for each other. So
So true. So true. For the music that you listen to, what are some songs that maybe are on your playlist this summer? What is on like the Zach King Summer 2026 playlist? This could be music, but I actually, for you, I almost want to bring up, is there any like podcast, mental health related um pieces of content, audios that people should listen to also? So you could answer that one of two ways or answer both.
for sure. Right now, for music artists, if we're talking specifically about mental health, one of my favorite artists that kind of blew up over the last year or two is his name's Cameron Whitcomb.
Mhm.
He talks a lot about mental health, his struggle with depression, and kind of a lot of the same themes of my mental health music as well. So I'd suggest checking him out. Um, my favorite podcast that I love to listen to is the Mel Robbins podcast. She has so many great stories and people on her podcast to really talk not only about mental health but just life in general. And you know, you can kind of scroll through all. She has so many episodes. You can really find anything you want for anything you're going through. And I just love her overall message and her personality. And I definitely suggest if people haven't taken a listen, she has a great book called The Let Them Theory too that I love. It's about kind of letting people be them. A lot of the times we try to like control other people in our lives, which really negatively impacts our mental health. Whether it's that coworker or that friend or someone in a relationship, they're doing things that bother you. A lot of that times that's how our mental health kind of starts spiraling. So it's about letting that go. But yeah, I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but those are the two people I would say.
No, that's fantastic. Very good suggestions. Thank you so much, Zach.
Of course.
Um, my next question, we're down to our last two questions, but again, this could go on forever. I feel like I like your brain. I want to like pick your brain apart. Um, I've added this question in recent, like the last couple months, because it's become such an important topic, and I want to hear everybody's perspective, no matter where you are in the industry. And I'm very curious what your thoughts are. It's about artificial intelligence because it's become such a huge part of the industry.
Right.
How do you view it? Is it something that you see as a collaborator, a tool, competition?
Man, it's a hard topic because I truly can see both sides.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you why I don't agree with it first, and I'll tell you then why maybe I would agree with some parts of it. I don't agree with it because there are a lot of people that are creating AI music and putting it on these streaming platforms, and it's taking away from a lot of the artists that spend their hard work, their soul. They put everything into their music, and you know they're not getting the attention they deserve too. And that the AI music kind of takes away from that. One thing I do think on the flip side of the coin is okay is I haven't really done this much myself, but I've played around with it. Is just kind of bouncing ideas off of AI, not necessarily actually creating or writing the songs for you, but maybe kind of helping you go along the path of what you want to talk about. But yeah, I always suggest like writing your own music, writing your own lyrics because they're super unique to you. And if you're having AI do it, it's not really an authentic experience. And then I don't agree with the whole creating the actual production because there are so many full-time artists out there that depend on people coming to them for projects and making their money that way. I pay a whole band usually to write song or sorry not write produce songs. I have a producer. I have a mixer master. I pay my friends, my other fellow artists to perform live with me. So AI can take away from a lot of the real people out there that are doing this for a living. So yeah, there's a very small part of AI that I think is okay to use, but to sum it up, just if you're an artist, stay authentic to yourself, and that's what we get out of it is that authenticity. So
Tremendous answer, and I expected nothing less. Zach, thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for that response. For my final question, and we've been doing this throughout the interview, but I kind of to nail it directly, pinpoint our thoughts here. It's about advice. For somebody in that first year of making music, maybe they're suffering from mental health challenges and they've discovered that music is a helpful outlet for them, but they don't know where to go. They're like, okay, I know I like to make some songs, but I'm still just figuring it out. What's some advice you would give to them early on to continue making music and continue that pursuit?
Yeah. First things first is don't be super hard on yourself and expect the first songs you write to um, be the best thing ever. I really thought when I created my first album, all I needed to do was just upload it to Spotify and it would just go viral.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, that wasn't true, of course. That's not how it works. I would suggest just finding the people to put in your corner. Maybe you're at a stage where you're struggling with either the production or the songwriting, whether it's people in your community, whether it's using other people online. One of my favorite tools or connection services is called Sound Better, and you can find different artists, different writers, producers, mix masterers. I think you can even find band members on there, and you can work with people. That's one of the great things about the internet. You can work with people all over the world to help bring your song to life. And I've used that service to produce a couple of my songs in my past album. So it's all about having people in your corner, and you know, whatever the saying is, if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it with others. I've included so many people on pretty much every single one of the songs I've released. So just surrounding yourself with people who see the vision and just never giving up. You know, I try to write as much as I can, some months more than others, some years more than others. But yeah, if it's something you truly love, you'll find time for it.
Zach King, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the If Ever You're Listening podcast, Zach. Everybody look out for new music coming your way, but also listen to the new album, Songs I Wrote Instead of Texting You. Have a great rest of your day, Zach. Thank you again for coming.
Thanks so much for having me, Sammy.